At my brother's wedding, I was given a badge that said limited access guest. My mom whispered, "That means you won't be eating." I calmly walked to the gift table, picked up my $7,500 check, and told them, "I guess you don't need this anymore." It all started at Ryan's wedding. I was so excited, you know? My big brother, the guy who used to sneak me extra ice cream when mom wasn't looking, was tying the knot. I'd spent months saving up for their gift. $7,500. That's not pocket change for me. I'm a graphic designer, freelance, which means I hustle for every dollar. Extra gigs, late nights, saying no to concerts and weekend getaways, just so I could give Ryan and his fiancée, Kurara, something special, a check to help with their dream honeymoon. I pictured them on a beach somewhere, toasting to their new life, maybe even thinking of me for a second. That's what family does, right? You show up, you give, you love. The church ceremony was beautiful, quick, all smiles and applause. Ryan was nervous, barely said 2 words to me that morning, but I figured wedding jitters, no big deal. I'm not the type to need a spotlight. I just wanted to be there, part of the moment, family, you know? But when I got to the reception venue, everything shifted. I was behind this couple at the check-in table, watching them get these fancy gold-trimmed badges with their names in calligraphy, table numbers, and all. Then it was my turn. The woman at the table didn't even look at me. She just slid over this flimsy paper badge. Black text, no frills. Limited access guest. I froze. Limited access? What does that even mean? Before I could ask, my mom popped up out of nowhere, like she'd been waiting for me to notice. She leaned in, all casual, and whispered, "That means no late. No late." Like it was a punchline to a joke I wasn't in on. I waited for her to laugh, to say it was a mistake, but she just gave me this tight smile and walked away. I stood there holding that stupid badge, and it was like the whole world went quiet, like I was underwater, watching everyone else breathe. I walked into the reception hall anyway, telling myself it had to be a mix-up, but when I saw the seating chart, my name wasn't there. Not at the family table, not at the random cousin table, nowhere, no chair, no plate, no nothing. I wasn't a guest. I was, what, a ghost? A +1 they forgot to plan for? My own family had decided I didn't rate a seat at my brother's wedding. I stood against the wall, watching everyone else settle in. Ryan raised a toast. Mom and Dad clapped. Carrara kissed his cheek while cameras flashed. And me? I was invisible. They saw me standing there, they just didn't care. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. I felt this hot, sharp thing in my chest. Not just anger, but betrayal. Deep and personal. I walked back to the gift table where I'd left my envelope earlier. It was still there. Plain white, a little bent to the corner. Inside was that $7,500 check. Every penny of it earned through my sweat and sacrifice. I picked it up, opened it, and held the check in my hand for a second. Then I said, not loud, but clear, "I think you won't need this anymore." I turned and walked toward the exit. I didn't make it 10 steps before I heard chairs scraping, voices calling my name, Ryan's voice loud and a little panicked. Mom and Dad shouting, "Come back, Melissa." But I didn't stop. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove off without looking back. They could have their party, their toasts, their perfect photos, but they weren't getting my money. Not after that. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying it. The badge, the whisper, the empty seating chart. I kept seeing that envelope on the gift table, how proud I'd been when I dropped it off. I thought I was doing something big, something that said, "I love you, Ryan." Instead, I was the girl with a paper badge, the girl who didn't get a seat, the girl whose own family decided she wasn't worth a plate. By morning, my phone was blowing up. Texts from Mom, "Can we talk? Please don't make this a thing." Dad, "Boah, let's not ruin the weekend." Ryan, "I didn't know it would be like that." Not one of them said sorry, not one of them owned it. It was all deflection, like I was the one overreacting. Mom even had the nerve to text, "We assumed you'd be okay with standing since you always say you don't care about fancy stuff." Like I was supposed to be grateful for being erased with a smile. Around noon, Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. He texted, "Come over, we want to talk. Ryan's here." I didn't owe them a quick response. I took a shower, made breakfast, scrubbed my kitchen counters. But part of me was curious, not to forgive, but to see how they'd spin this. I knew they needed that check. Ryan had been stressing about the venue costs, the honeymoon, how tight their budget was. So I went, not because I was ready to make nice, but because I wanted to see them squirm. When I walked into their living room, it was like stepping into a bad sitcom. Mom smiled like I was back from a semester abroad. Dad nodded like we were about to have a board meeting. Ryan half raised a hand like he couldn't decide if he should hug me or not. I sat down and waited. Dad started with, "It's really unfortunate how things went yesterday. Not we messed up, just unfortunate, like it was a weather event." Mom chimed in with miscommunication and logistics, throwing around the word oversight like I'd been left off a spreadsheet by accident. Ryan barely spoke, just mumbled, "I didn't know that's how it would be." Like I was supposed to believe he had no clue his own sister was sidelined. I listened, nodding, letting them dig their hole. When they were done, I looked at them and said, "I might change my mind." That was it. One word might. You should have seen their faces. Mom sat up like I tossed her a lifeline. Dad let out this little breath like he was already counting the money. Ryan finally looked at me, eyes hopeful. They thought they'd won me back. Mom started babbling about how generous it'd be, how the money would go straight to the honeymoon. Dad said something about families getting through rough patches. Ryan didn't even say thank you. I smiled, stood up, and said, "I need time to think." I left them with that word might hanging in the air like a promise I didn't make. For the first time, they needed something from me, and I wasn't handing it over. The next morning, Mom left a voicemail. Her voice all soft and careful, like I was one wrong word away from breaking. She said they'd been too rigid at the wedding, that maybe they could have communicated better. Still no apology, just a hint that I'd overreacted. Then she dropped the bomb. They were delaying the honeymoon. Not canceling, just pushing it a little. Translation? Without my check, they were screwed. Dad called later, playing the proud parent card. "You're successful, stable, dependable," he said. "Not everyone in this family can say that." Then he got to it. "We trust your judgment. I know you'll make the right call." Oh, they were good. The flattery, the guilt, the subtle nudge that I was the reliable one they could lean on. That's when I remembered the car. 6 months ago, I'd loaned them my second car when theirs broke down. It was supposed to be temporary. Weeks turned into months, excuses piled up, waiting for a part, a mechanic, whatever. I stopped asking. It was just another thing I did for family, but it was still in my name, still on my insurance. So I scheduled a tow for Friday morning. No heads up, no warning, just did it. Friday at 9:12 a.m., my phone rang. Mom, freaking out. There's a tow truck outside. Did you do this? I said, yeah. Silence. Then, why? I told her I was switching insurance companies. Not a lie. She said they needed the car, that it was inconvenient. I could hear Dad yelling in the background. I said, then borrow one, rent one, figure it out. That's what I'd have to do, right? She tried to make it about the wedding. I cut her off. No, this is about patterns. And I hung up. That night, Ryan texted, can we talk? Just us. I didn't respond. He could wait. They all could. For once, I was the one holding the cards. Then, out of nowhere, Carrara texted me, I'm so sorry. I saw what they did, and you didn't deserve it. That stopped me cold. I read it twice. Someone in that family had a conscience. I texted back, thanks. That means a lot. She replied, I wish you'd stayed. Things might have been different. I didn't agree, but I didn't argue. She was trying, and that was more than anyone else had done. Weeks passed. Silence from Mom, Dad, Ryan. No apologies, just a loud, stubborn quiet. I started to feel lighter. I booked a solo trip to a coastal town somewhere I could breathe. I turned off my phone, watched sunrises, wrote in my journal, not about them, but about me. About the girl who'd spent years chasing their approval and the woman who was done with it. Then a bombshell. Carrara's cousin texted me from an unknown number. You were on the original guest list, family table, full access. 3 days before the wedding, your mom changed it. Ryan approved it. My heart sank, but it also clicked. They knew about the check. I told Ryan I had something big planned. He let them cut me out anyway. They wanted the money, not me. That was the moment it stopped hurting. I had proof now, no more guessing. I deleted the family group chat, blocked Mom and Dad on socials, muted Ryan's number. I wasn't punishing them, I was protecting me. Ryan's fiance kept checking in quietly, kindly. She said Ryan was struggling, that he missed me. I believed her, but I also knew he'd had every chance to speak up and didn't. On my birthday, I got a letter from Mom, careful words, no apology, just a rewrite where they were overwhelmed, and I was sensitive but strong. I tucked it away. That night, I lit a candle on a slice of cake and whispered, freedom. Not forgiveness, freedom. 2 months later, Ryan sent a note with a childhood photo, us at a barbecue, him wiping ice cream off my face. I messed up. I'm sorry. I kept it, but didn't call. Healing doesn't always mean letting them back in. Sometimes it's just locking the door gently and walking away. I'm not waiting for them anymore. I'm building a life that's mine. Friends, trips, laughter that's real. I wrote a list, what I will and won't accept from family. It's taped to my closet door, a reminder that my peace is gold, and I'm done giving it to people who treat it like a tool. So here's to me, to freedom, to the girl who said enough and meant it. Thanks for listening.